Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan, and Val.
Hello.
Today we have another of the 3v3 Reddit tournament games, and in this one, on the red side, we have Warmongers with Duro SVK, Greyhound, and Machapek, and on the blue side, we have Team Eurasia with Kamran, Siladar, and Khan. So what are your thoughts to begin with, Val?
This should be quite an interesting map. We've got a confrontation game, Blue v Red. We've seen Paddy Field. It seems to be quite a popular choice during this tournament from the games we've casted. So it's come up quite a few times and should be quite interesting, really. We've seen what Team Euroasia can do with their blue side decks. They had some very successful games, or a very successful game, should I say, that we casted on Gunboat Diplomacy, that they played those blue 4 decks. And I don't believe we've seen Warmongers yet in any of our casts, so this is a new team to us that we're for casting anyway. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see like a new team on the cast, and I haven't actually watched any of Warmongers games as of yet, so I have no idea how they are actually going to play this out. I am aware of Machapek and Duro. I've never heard of Greyhound before, so he's a completely new one for me. But Duro, definitely known as a good player, and it'll be interesting to see how he matches up against the like of Kamran and Siladar, especially. What sort of decks are we working with today?
So let's start over on the blue side for Team Eurasia. So at the bottom of the map, we have Kamran with a NORAD deck. He's got that Mexus there along with his American units, so he is running NORAD. If we go slightly further up and go to the top side, we have Siladar with a Eurocore deck by the looks of things. And extremely interestingly, we have Khan with a Scandinavian deck, which is something I think we've seen one Scandinavian deck, haven't we, in the cast so far?
Yeah.
Which was a...
It might have even been played by them.
Yeah, it might have been...
Yeah, Khan might have played it previously.
No, actually, I don't think it was. I think it was... Was it Patton's team? Was it C at one point? It doesn't matter anyway. What matters is they're playing it here and now, so very interesting deck to use. One of my personal favourites for playing on my own. So let's have a look at red then. So we have Duro SVK with what looks to be a Soviet deck. Again, no Korean units, but that could change. They could not have any in the starting lineup, so never quite sure of that. M8 Greyhound has, I believe those T-72Ms are, yeah, they're the Soviet tanks, aren't they? The 65-point Soviets. So they are a Sovco deck, very strong. And then up in the top side, we have Machapek with, again, looks like a Soviet deck, but could well be Sovco. We will have to find out.
Yeah, so some pretty interesting compositions. We actually have a BU with Machapek up at the top. Two BTR 90s, one with Spetsnaz Group, one with Moskaya, I would assume. We've got BRDM3 leading the charge there with a couple of those SU-122s. So a very nice, well-rounded composition. Quite heavy on the AA though, with the two Book M1s and the Tunguska M. With Greyhound, again, pretty well-rounded, lacking super heavies, but he does have that Buratino for the middle ground fighting. I'm guessing what he's going to do is get the majority of that infantry into the town and the forest there, and that's going to make it very hard for the blue side to push through, which means tanks will be a lot less of a priority. Duro's going for probably one of the more open plays. We've got a lot more tanks, and we've also got the Conquer's M's coming up as well, the ATGMs there, which will help him with the open field fighting.
We also have from Duro a T80U, which I've not seen in a while. At least I don't think I have. But anyway, enough about the red side. We've talked about them quite a bit. So it looks like on the bottom, Kamran's going in. He has quite a few heavy tanks. Well, he has one heavy tank of his own. I'm not entirely sure tanks will be able to match up to that very heavy presence, but we'll have to find out. In the top side, looks like Khan is going with a lot of infantry, followed up with yeah, they do have some heavy tanks. They have the Swedish STRV 121, the Swedish Leopard 2A 4/5. I suppose it's got the 4's armor, but the 5's gun, I believe, or they've even slightly better. And then Siladar in the top, going in with a. I'm going to imagine lots of Jaegers in those fucks, as with every single Eurocore deck we've seen so far. So yeah, very interesting starts. They've thought quite a bit about the compositions.
I like this sort of composition from Camran, although it doesn't look like much. These M2A2 Bradleys with those TOW2 missiles can be incredibly effective against heavy tanks, and it's very interesting to see the smoke coming out from Camran to begin with, and it looks like he's going to try and use that in order to be able to position his forces correctly on the left side of Hotel. So a nice start there from him, making use of that smoke.
Yep, definitely an interesting tactic, and one that my personal smoke-loving heart is happy about. I'm always happy when people use smoke correctly and well. Those Bradleys, just as you were saying, just going into range to start using those TOW2s to maximum effect. I have to see who wins this ATGM off, though.
Oh, this M1A1 Abrams, though, with the 60% stabilizer, is just going to pick off those ATGMs very, very easily. He's got to be careful it doesn't take any side shots. And there we go, so he's reversing that just as expected.
Khan coming in with the A Falcon there. There's not too much A, just one OSA, and the WDNS as well.
Yeah, so, unfortunately that's going to go down. And the bombs didn't hit anything by the looks of things. Just the T-72B1 there taking quite a lot of damage. In the middle we actually haven't seen any units fighting yet. And in the top side we've only got our BRDM-3 skirmishing with some APCs. So it's interesting to see that the only fighting is happening in the bot side, but it is pretty expected, mainly due to the fact that it's such an open sector with not much cover for both sides.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have mostly seen fighting in that middle and top sector, but I mean, personally, I'm quite happy that there's fighting going on the bottom. So MiG-27's coming in for that M1A1. I imagine both of them will take it down between the two of them, but yeah, there we go. That's gone down.
Yeah, the M1A1 going down there. I like the way that he used one of the MiGs to try and take out a couple of Bradleys, though, because those Bradleys are problematic, especially if they're in a wide spread. Because what happens is the tanks find it really hard to face their armor appropriately, and it requires a lot of micromanagement to face armor towards every HGM coming towards your tanks.
Yeah.
So the way that you would normally do that, obviously, just for people who don't know, is in order to face armor towards a threat, you have to basically attack the threat. So you would right click on the target where the HGM is coming from in order to face towards it.
You can do that. You can also reverse away from it if you micro it right.
Yeah, you can do the reverse way of doing it as well, which is just reverse the opposite direction as to the way the HGM is coming in. That's the other way to do it. And those MiG-27s causing so much damage now. There's only one Chaparral there. The F-16 though coming in is going to take down one MiG. Is it going to take down two? Yes, it is.
Down there. But yeah, a nice trade. That's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, MiG-25 PD and the Su-27S coming in reply to make sure that the red side controls that airspace. KA-52 moving around the bot side.
There has been a lot of damage done to both sides. Neither of them have any tanks left. Neither of them have any of those ATGM carriers left either. So I believe Camran will get the slight advantage in here because he does have more troops with that infantry, but without
any fire support, though, the Spetsnaz Gru are definitely going to kill off those Rifleman 90 with no problems.
That's true. He does have the mortars though.
Oh, wonderful. MiG-27 used there to take out the Chaparral, but the Patriot isn't going to let it get away with it. Well, leaves it on 1 health. Patriot with that 9 HE power, not quite enough to one shot without a critical.
Yeah, these mortars coming in onto the GRU, like I was just mentioning, the Riflemen are definitely not nearly as strong as the GRU, but with some strong Lav M5 support they could do well. Let's just take a look around the map then. So not much is really happening. There's these two sort of stationary fronts in the middle. At the top is very much the same. We do have some sneaky matchup experts on screw going for a bit of a scouting run on the top there, but all in all, not much has happened really, despite quite a lot of potential for kind of a big spark to happen, for all this fighting to happen. It's just kind of
it's kind of fizzled out, hasn't it? But
yeah.
in the bottom side, I'm not sure if they're going to continue with like the heavy armor strategy. I think the only successful push we've seen on the bottom side where there wasn't a lot of casualties was through a wide array of infantry pushing alongside was it M8 AGSs? I can remember. It was American, and it was basically a spam of riflemen with cavalry tanks, and it was incredibly effective because the infantry was taking all of the fire, and then the M8s with their crazy accuracy were just picking off units left, right, and centre, and that was just working really, really well. Oh, look at this lav mortar fire support. Beautiful pick off there. So we're incredibly quiet at the moment. The blue side actually with a lead at the moment because they haven't captured Echo on the red side. That could cost them if they're not too careful. Obviously the red side actually ahead at the moment because they captured their sectors sooner, but they definitely need to get their own command into Echo sooner than later in order to stop this +1 lead.
I'm slightly worried for the blue forces in Hotel though. I mean, a bomber coming in now to try and land a strike. It looks like... Where's that going for?
I'm not entirely sure what that was going for. I think it might have been trying to drop bombs under the KA-52, but easily taken out by all of the air superiority fighters coming out of the red side.
I feel the big team has to be very careful. They only have one tank here, and that Recon Bradley is very good, but it might just get overwhelmed if it's not careful, especially against this this very strong, very expensive T-72B OBR 19.
Yeah, it's up to the 89. OBR to actually hit its HGMs, and then the red side will definitely have an advantage. But so far, it looks like the Bradley is winning that exchange, with the OBR missing every single HGM.
Oh wow! Yeah.
It even wins.
That's a good Bradley.
The M3A2 Bradley, they're actually having 70% accuracy, so only going to miss maybe 1 in 3 missiles, which makes it very, very powerful. And look, it's going to take out a T-72M there as well. So this is what I was saying at the beginning of the game with those Bradleys, is they can be very, very effective if they are used correctly. And even though it's left out in the open there and should probably be taken out by a MiG, you know, it's just doing so much damage. It really is.
It's a very, especially the Recon Bradley is a very good unit because it can see to its maximum range almost always. So, you know, just very effective. I'm slightly confused by the red team there because in that sort of situation, you know that the 1989 T-72B just like the missiles are not great, unfortunately, in terms of accuracy. I would say that especially after getting slightly panicked by the first missile from the Bradley, you should move into gun range if you can.
Yeah, we can see here the Patriot is probably the reason we didn't see an like a MiG-27. It actually just hit a MiG-25 PD with a missile and took that down to 1 health. And yeah, that's definitely going to prevent a lot of airstrikes or put off the red side from doing so. I'm quite disappointed so far as to the amount of action that's actually occurring across the map. There's obviously been like a tiny skirmish with a couple of infantry units on the top side, and then we had like that big hit at the bottom at the start of the game, and now things just seem to be piling up on both sides, ready for a big clash at some point in the game, I would hope. Or M1A1 Abrams taking a side shot there from a T-80. That was not very good.
Luckily for the Abrams, though, the T-82 is not the finest of tanks, and it does get taken down there by the Mexus, I believe.
Yeah, the Mexus got that 65% accurate, very nice tank with the 17 AP power as well. That's probably one of the best priced medium tanks in the game.
I'd definitely say so. Very, very good tank.
The BU though.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why people really bring these these NORAD decks. But yeah, so the BU just skirmishing a little bit, hasn't been spotted. Oh, is an insight, should I say? It has been spotted by the enemy team. Puff gonna. Oh, the puff goes down, I think. Oh no, it escaped.
It
escaped.
got out fine.
I was tricked by a flare.
The PUs were way out of range in order to get that before it could retreat. But now we've got the Smirch Barrage coming in. I guess that's looking for that M1A1 Abrams. And if it does get a hit on target, then the M1A1 is going down.
Oh, 1 HP.
Oh, 1 HP
One
left. That is incredibly lucky, because that looks like it might actually get out now. Oh, maybe not.
Oh no.
Spoke too soon. The M1A1 is going to go down. And that is actually quite a big kill in this sort of standoff that we have at the moment. So definitely just sort of a stalemate with the blue side taking full control of Hotel. And I can't help but think with the blue side capturing Hotel, it's going to force the red side to have to do something, which is great because we'll finally see some more action.
Well, I personally think in these sorts of situations, reclaiming Hotel is incredibly difficult. They have all those 2-2 launchers, with those Bradleys you were speaking about before being called in. They have those great 2-2 ATGMs. I think they need to make a play somewhere else on the map because at the moment, without some incredible luck and play, good skill, they're not taking Hotel back. Not easily anyway. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm missing something here, but there seems to be like a serious lack of units on the red side. They seem to be going for quality over quantity, which is definitely not the right decision in this kind of situation. Because playing with high value units in such a stalemate makes them huge targets. It really does. And you can see that T-72BU there just being caught out by the RBS-56 in that town. And that's going to put that out of commission while the firing computer resets. We've also got a T-90S coming in on the top side. And again, that's a wrong choice in this scenario. You don't need a T-90S for a standoff. What you need is a lot of spam infantry that's going to be able to rush and penetrate through the enemy's front line. That's what you really need in this kind of situation. You can overwhelm all those ATGMs and get plenty of easy kills with supporting tanks, because what will happen is the APCs will go down, the infantry will come out of the APCs, and that will take the fire while your tanks deal with the more important targets, which in this case would be all the ATGMs which threaten the tanks. And then once those ATGMs are dead, you've got plenty of space to work with.
Yeah, I mean, just like completely reinforcing your point. If you look at the forces that the red team has in the bottom, they have a T-80U, a T-72BU, a T-80UK, and then another BU as well, just coming over now. That is, you've got all these these RBS-56s. Their range isn't great, but the AP is insanely high. For an ATGM squad. If you're not careful, they will just destroy your tanks. I mean, you saw what it did to that BU earlier near Echo when that squad tagged it, and just you need meat shields to soak up that ATGM fire. So
we saw a little bit of a skirmish in the middle there. One of the Phantom 2s going down from the blue side, we're losing a Su-27 for the red side, and with those napalm strikes coming in on the bottom side of Echo, it looks like Kamran is going to be making his move, although he is running into troubles already with those PTR Conquers M squads picking off all the APCs and leaving his infantry to run the long mile across to Echo.
It looks like they will get a bridgehead here. There's only the Conquers M.
Here we go.
To stop it.
This is how you do it, guys. You've got the 6 Fuchs with Jaegers, and you're charging in, kill whatever's there almost instantly, and that town is yours. That gives you a huge amount of pressure in the bottom side of Echo, and now they are probably going to start to think about contesting that with a command.
Oh, this might... It's like a... Oh, that did so much damage.
Yeah, the B5 did manage to take out a lot of those Jaegers, but did cost it the actual aircraft itself. Like the B5 did go down, I think it was to the Puff and the also the Patriot as well.
I don't know if you caught that. So Vigan just came in over Echo and just tagged the T-72BU, taking it down to 1 HP. Absolutely insanely strong cluster munitions, those Vigan. So that BU is now out of action. So
yeah, it's definitely going to be forcing that to run away. Oh, the Hornet picking it
the
off.
Hornet comes in.
Almost hitting the second BU there with the second volley of missiles, but the Su-27PU dealing with that very well. Both sides have got awesome anti-air. They've got Patriots on the blue side and 2 bookend ones on the red side, although one just went down to the Tornado ECR. We've got the Super Etendards coming in.
Ooh, nice strike onto that BU, I think.
They're trying to hit some units, and we've got this infantry skirmish continuing in the bottom side of Echo, although those Volksgomjägers definitely going to do a lot of damage to the Eurokokte and the Spetsnaz crew, who only have 1 man left.
I feel they're unfortunately not long for this world with this large infantry push that's coming in from the blue team. And we've seen, I think, quite conclusively that having all these super high value units isn't really the be all and end all. There's been two of them have been taken out by ATGMs and an ATGM plane, so really, you know, just maybe not as much depth in their defense as they would want.
Well, you can have all the best units in the game, but they're not the best units in the game when they don't do anything. And in this case, what they need to counter all of these Jaegers and Volksgomjägers is more infantry. Honestly, even sort of just militia survives very, very well in towns and makes it incredibly hard for attacking forces to secure those towns whilst you occupy it with your own militia, because they die so slowly in cover. And that allows you to use things like artillery in order to destroy a push very, very easily. And the reason that pushes normally work is because they're supported with fire support. And let's see if this Vigan hits its mark again. T-72BU, is it going to get away quick enough?
Oh, just about.
3
Very
health
low
left
health.
on that, yeah. If one more of those had tagged the T-72BU, that would have been a goner. Oh, as Su-27PU doing a great job there, and is not going to get hit by the Patriot in return. Wonderful amount of artillery coming in. We got the combination of the mortars and the heavier artillery fire from the Beacon 1Cs from that Scandinavian deck. Wonderful artillery pieces they are. They have such high rate of fire, makes them incredibly effective. They basically ripped to shreds a lot of that anti-air that was there. It was a couple of Strelas, I think. And now look what they have left. They've got the T-90S, the T-80UM, and not much else. Whilst Kamran's bringing up those Bisons with some more infantry. He's got his own tanks moving up, the Leopard C2 Mexus and the Leopard 2 behind that as well. And we've also got Silidar bringing some M113s down the road, a couple of IKV 105 from Khan there for fire support. And they're just using their units a lot more effectively in this situation.
I think so. I mean, look at the reinforcements that the red team's bringing in. They're bringing in a BU that might go down to this peace rally. Just narrowly escapes. A BU, no, sorry, 3 BUs there. A T-80U, a T-80UM. It does finally go down to a Super Etenard. And I don't quite understand it. You know, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 super heavy tanks.
Yeah.
And they need infantry. You know, tanks won't do against infantry entrenched in buildings. It's
yeah, and even these planes just coming in and getting free kills almost. That's F-16 getting away with murder, literally. Comes in and takes out a T-72BU while there's a Tunguska M right there, and just gets away with it completely. It's just ridiculous. Those Canadian Airborne not having a fun time though. The Mi-24V taking full advantage of no close range air support, or anti-air support should I say, because they do have obviously the Patriots and stuff, but they're just never going to be close enough to kill that Mi-24V at the moment.
The blue team has to be quite careful because they're stalling quite a bit with their offensive. They need to bring up infantry quickly, and it looks like they're actually going to lose control of the town.
Yeah. Well, what seems to have
So-
happened is
sorry.
the red side has brought in all their reinforcements at once, whereas the blue side has sort of been trickling them in, and that's really started to affect the quality of this push. What happened to the original Jaegers was they got bombed by the B5, and that actually severely affected their push more than they probably realised, because they didn't have the quantity in order to continue the aggression towards the top side of the town. They probably should have waited for more reinforcements to arrive before they subjected themselves to the fire support that the red side had there.
Oh, Vegan coming in onto that T90S. Will that take them out? Oh yeah, goes straight down. Straight down to the Vegan over Echo. Like we said, a very excellent anti-tank plane.
Yep, we've got a puff going down to the Su-27. And we finally got more Jaegers coming in from the bottom side, from Siladar. Looks like
That PU did go down as well.
looks like the Yeocock days might be subject to some heavy fire support very soon. We've got the M1A1HC Abrams coming in from Camran. That's going to be going up against that T80UM at max range. Although, he's got to be careful that the RBS 56 squad doesn't spot that T80UM at some point and take that out. Great thing about the Scandinavian RPG or HGM squads actually is that they do have 5 men, although the Smirch is coming straight in over the top of that T80UM.
Not the Smirch, the Mars, the German equivalent.
So yes, my bad.
No, the Mars is definitely not as good as the Smirch, unfortunately, but it does do its job. It's forced it back. So, however, this push seems to have stalled, unfortunately, for the blue team. We saw them doing such a good effort. Although Phantom coming in now over Echo to try and push all that infantry out of the buildings with their napalm. So we'll see if they can reignite this.
Going to do a lot of damage to that Spetsnaz. Yeah, definitely going to do a lot. Oh, wonderful bombing strike from the WDNS, taking out the Yeocock days there with the help of the artillery. So, I think as long as they continue this pressure on Echo, like, they're going to win this game, pretty much. Because they are at like a 150-point lead at the moment. They did lose their command in Lima to the airstrikes, or is that, or was that just a Buratino? Sorry.
Yeah, they had an infantry CV there, which I think got taken out.
Got hit by the Buratino, so that was a nice job there. Finding out where that was probably in a bit of an unsafe position, to be honest. But there we go. They're now back to even in terms of income for conquest points, but with the 150-point lead and the pressure continuing into Echo, it's going to be very hard for the red team to sort of shift their focus to anywhere else.
That's true, although it does look like they're pushing up with lots of these Su-122s with fire, with some heavy tank support as well, if they bring like the U and the UM and the BU up. Yeah,
but look at that. We've got the 2 STRV-121s sitting in Lima. We've also got those Marder 2s, which will make very short work of SU-122s with those autocannons. And they have the RBS 56 squad sitting in that compound further back. This push pretty much looks doomed to fail. Mainly due to the fact that there's no infantry fronting these SU-122s. And that's the main thing that makes this kind of push work.
Yeah, I think these super heavies now are just going to get picked off by this MLU, it looks like. And that goes for... Oh no, it doesn't take any super heavies, but yeah, it didn't really amount to much. There's still a lot of heavy tanks there, a lot of value and depth to the red side heavy tanks, but we'll see if they do decide to go for an all-out push, just knowing how risky that is.
Well, they're finally starting to pay off, because there's so many of them now. They have a lot of them, and these ASM planes aren't really doing enough. A Hornet goes down there after the MLU also went down previously. This ECR is going to pick off a couple of nice units, so good use of radar or anti-radar planes there. We saw an M1A1HC go down on the blue side to a T80UM as well in Lima. But, that napalm strike straight on top of the UAZ is going to force that to move away. And it seems that the red side might make some ground. They really need to not mismicro those VDV. Those BTRDs scared me for a little bit when they stopped in the open. Pretty much did nothing.
Yeah. There's one hero, Weasel Ito here, Weasel Toto, that nearly killed the Yeoman. We'll see if it can actually manage to do that.
Yeah, we saw one go down to the Panzer Grenadiers just then, and we got the STRV 121 coming in with the side shot and finishing off the second. So there go those two heavy tanks, and we got an F-15D Eagle coming in, and that's probably going to bomb the crap out of those VDV. And it's all gone.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So there goes the effective push from the red side.
Well, one thing I'm really surprised about is that they only, like, they did their push in waves, so I don't understand this. Like, they built up all this force and all this strength. They had way more heavy tanks than they ever should have any reason having, and then they're pushing them like wave after wave, just bit by bit.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's a big waste. Like, they just let that T-72BU almost get side shot by the Weasel Toto. That's just lazy. It's really lazy. I don't know if it's just like uncoordinated from the red side, because obviously that having that many heavy tanks means that, you know, they're all from different players, and that might be the reasoning behind why that hasn't been successful and why they're doing it in waves, because one's realizing that the previous guy has started to attack and then has sent his stuff in just afterwards. So it sort of ends up with that happening. But yeah, definitely
It's very strange.
definitely not a great play from the red side, because it's costing them a lot more than it should. That Buratino being stopped firing, even though it was almost in the perfect position to make that push go through. So another interesting play there. We got T-72BU being RT'd in Echo. That's down to 4 health, so another heavy tank taking heavy hits. We've also got Greyhound taking back the town in the bottom side of Echo. Now I do think what the red side did pretty well is they stalled the push out of the blue side. I don't know if that was more the blue side's fault that occurred, or whether the red side just sort of, I don't know, maybe picked the right units, even though they only had heavy tanks seemingly at that point. But I think mainly it was up to the blue side just overextending towards that heavy fire support, and that's what basically gave away the town back to the red side. And now the red side's managed to take it back, and they built up their force by somehow stalling, and now they've failed their push into Lima. So it's sort of a game of fails in this scenario. Just to basically put it bluntly.
But damn it, they have families.
It just seems that both sides have been very, very lazy with their coordination, and also lazy with their reinforcements. They're just not thinking about how they're going to push effectively, and it's really costing both sides and making what should be very cost-efficient units become worthless.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I'd say for the red side, one of the problems is composition, right? They brought so many of these heavy tanks, but even when they did have them all together, they didn't push at the same time. I'm so confused. You know, they just let them get taken out wave after wave, instead of just going as one big mass of tanks. Yes, in their defense, they did re-secure the bottom of Echo. I think it was probably a mix. Remember, you were talking about, you know, whether it was the red side, you know, whether it's their sort of troop reinforcements or blue just sort of stalling too much. I think it was probably a bit of both, but you know, we have ended up back in a bit of a stalemate, really.
Well, I don't think it was blue stalling. I think it was blue being over-aggressive with what they had. They should have waited for their reinforcements to arrive before continuing to push into the heavy fire support, because there was no way that they could put or afford to put their infantry on the edge of that town with like 4 T-72BUs aiming at them, you know? It's just not going to work. So yeah, it's interesting. It seems both sides don't want to do anything anymore. Like, we've had enough of this. We're just going to sit in our own forests until the game plays out. We're literally just waiting for a replacement command for Lima, and then the blue side gets another lead once again in terms of income conquest points. But that is a wonderful Buratino barrage onto a lot of unsuspecting infantry.
Yep, definitely true. They're finally pushing with infantry. Your dreams are true, although not with transport. So.
Oh, look at this Mars strike onto the T-80 UK command vehicle. Gonna do some serious damage. It might even go down. Or 1 health.
1 HP.
Is the last missile gonna hit? Yes,
Yep.
it is. Wonderful. That is absolutely beautiful to see. Those Mars often let you down because they need to, or they require hitting so many in order to actually get a kill. But in that case, oh, no disappointment there.
The real German hero there from Salvador taking it out.
Yeah, now the blue side is going to get a +2 lead because they finally got the AMX-30B into Lima.
Can I also just point out, I absolutely love what they've done. So the Buratino came in, did a lot of damage to all the units in Lima. In response, they dropped 2 loads of napalm in the path where the red team would advance. Not onto the red team, but just in front. Absolutely brilliant way to deter the enemy getting through, you know. Although let's see if it's been spotted by the BTRA, that's slightly awkward, that might go down. But yeah, a great way to stall out the enemy, give time for your reinforcements to come in.
Yeah, that's being hit by heavy artillery now.
Yeah, I feel that's going to go down.
So what is actually firing? It's the MSTA S's.
These are very effective artillery pieces.
It looks like he's not going to move it, he's just going to turn off the weapons, which is a bit risky considering they now know exactly where that command is.
Oh no, it looks like he is.
Reversing it a little, I'm not exactly sure where he's going to put it instead, unless he's going to take it out of the sector entirely.
Are these missiles going to hit it now? Oh, they do, the Conquerors take it out.
Looks like he's going to have to opt for some command infantry, honestly. And now we've got a Phantom 2 coming in. Let's see if this napalm strike can stop all of this infantry coming in from Duro. We've got the VDV-90s and the BTR-Ds. Quite a nice combination there, absolutely destroying the Stormers. But is this napalm going to stop that in its tracks?
It looks like it's going to land quite well, however, I think they've lost Lima, despite that brilliant napalm strike.
It left a huge gap, and honestly didn't hit many of the squads directly. Only like the top 2 squads really got hit properly. Oh, another wonderful use of that Tornado ECR. That continues to take out multiple radar units, which aren't being microed effectively.
Right, so...
Oh, a nice move though, getting that Greyhound in here. I actually quite like this. I'm happy to see a proactive team. They've noticed that they're behind and they've made a move at the right time. But an MLU going down there, there was also a MiG-25 PD, was it, that went down? And we got a Mirage 3C coming in with some more napalm.
Oh, that left a small gap.
Oh, what's with these gaps?
The T80 UK, they're coming in to cement that hold. I mean, I'm not sure. Like we've seen in the past, we've seen teams win a push but still lose the game because they've not had the command points in time. We'll have to see if the blue team can transform that. The red team, should I say, sorry. Although a longbow getting some beautiful hits onto these tanks.
T-72BU going down to that longbow. Yeah, the T-80U is going to go down as well. No doubt about that. Oh man, wonderful.
The longbow's going to get out probably scot-free.
Yep. Doesn't look like that plane will though from the blue side.
Khan is pushing over some heavy STRV-121s. We'll have to see how those deal against those VDV-90 with the very good Vimper missiles and these Conquerors M's as well.
Yeah, a lot of HGMs coming in. Looks like the HGMs went just out of range there in time. And yeah, I'm honestly not sure if this +1 lead is going to... Well, the +1 lead won't be enough to win them this game. They're going to have to continue the push towards Mike in order to win this one, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think they've got time to catch up. We'll see though. Maybe it will. Maybe we're underestimating the 1 point lead, but yeah, I think as well because it looks like the blue team is pushing back as well, and those Conkers are completely out of ammo as well.
Well, the dream idea here for the red side is they can kill those STRV 121s and the Kylers, and then
Counter push.
yeah, and then counter push and take Mike really easily. But at this point, the MI-28 went down to the EOTS Hawk. Both the airstrikes came in and got away with that.
And the longbow before as well.
Yeah, the artillery is finishing off things. That T-80 UK is just going to get picked off by the STRV 121s as soon as it comes into line of sight. So that's neutralised the +1 lead that the red side have, and it's probably neutralised any chances of the red side of winning this game.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there's any way out of this, unfortunately.
Buratino went down as well.
Nicer cooler though. The tag team K52 and K50 have done a decent chunk of damage. Killed one of the STRV 121s.
Did they kill the EOTS Hawk though? No, I don't think they did.
No, they didn't.
So that's still a risk, but it seems to be paying off at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of those tanks going down. Oh my lord. They've lost 2 STRV 121s and they lost all those tanks on the top side there. The M1, A1 Abrams and so on.
They may have lost them, but I feel it's too little.
Obviously it doesn't particularly matter at this point in the game. Unless the only thing that's going to win the red side this game is if blue suddenly decided to move all of their command units out of their sectors and give them like a 10-point lead. or whatever it would be. I don't know. I've never seen a command point lead that high, so I wouldn't exactly know. But yeah, that's the only way they're going to bring this back. There is like literally no movement on the map at the moment. This top side is crazy. I can't believe like how many unused units we have in this top side. Like Siladar has how many Jaegers up here? Like 8 Jaegers. Maybe 10 Jaegers just sitting there doing nothing. He's got Leopard 2s, he's got Kylers. Like, come on, guys, it's the end of the game. Just rush your stuff forwards.
Well, interestingly as well, because Machepek took all of his super. He had a BU in there as well. He took that and brought it down. So, if the blue team did actually decide to go and attack Bravo, they would take it, I think. Only some SU-122s and BRDM-3 and some infantry.
It's quite interesting because the red side left like skeleton forces in Bravo and Hotel, and it seems the red side didn't even notice because obviously they don't have the line of sight or the recon in order to figure that out.
Yeah.
So they've just been fighting a much harder battle than they probably needed to be because all of those units in the top side there, owned by Siladar, could have literally taken Bravo by now.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really interested to see the points in this game because so many planes have gone down for both sides. I mean, I'm definitely expecting blue to have a significantly higher points lead, but I imagine some of those Tunguskas have got massive kill feeds.
Yeah, a lot of planes have gone down from the blue side throughout this game. The red side not so much, but they did use a lot of like air superiority fighters, and I'm not sure where exactly they've ended up. So they're probably dead.
Yeah, I think I saw two PUs go down throughout this game.
Yeah, so they've equally lost just as much aircraft, I would say. Or the small little skirmish between fullscreen Jaegers and Eurokokte, trying to prove who's better.
They're going to stun their own... Oh yeah.
Yeah, a pretty useless smirch barrage there. Just to finish things off, how wonderful.
That's that Tunguska's just getting the final revenge. Trade his life for the longbow.
Yeah, the trade for the longbow. Just a few units going down here and there, people trying to get their points up, but there we have it. Wow. Much closer than I expected after 40 minutes.
The points were relatively close during that.
So, 10,886 kills for the blue team, and 9,505 kills. Or, well, that's technically losses for the blue team because it looks like there was some friendly fire in there, but 9,481 kills for the red side. So, yeah, much closer than I originally expected, But honestly, the way that the game played out, and when you think about the amount of aircraft that went down, honestly, not as surprising.
Yeah, definitely.
It
I
seemed
think.
like a pretty
Sorry.
boring game.
Yeah.
Gonna put it out there. Basically, it started pretty slow. We had the engagement in the bomb side, which was really, really interesting, but the rest of the map just stayed completely static. And then basically the blue side got bored and pushed up into Echo, and that's where we remained for the rest of the game. Just pushing backwards and forwards. It was amazing how much ground they were making, even though their pushes weren't exactly the most structured and the most reinforced that we've ever seen. It's just it just seemed a bit amateur today in this particular game.
Yeah. So let me just add my 1 penny, or probably like 1.3p. Is that 2 cents? So we saw some very static play. That I mean, I'm not gonna say it's completely boring. I'm not quite as savage as you this, but yeah, we saw some very static play for most of the game, with the only action being in hotel. Um, and Camran played very well with those ATGM carriers. Like I have to hand it to him. I mean, but both sides lost quite a lot of units in that bottom side, but with a bit of luck, with that very lucky Pat Bradley recon and some good understanding of what he needed, Cameron really did a good job of securing that. What happened afterwards when they attacked up into the Echo was a well executed push, and I completely agree with you when you mentioned it went too far. I feel they went too far, got picked off by the BUs, and just didn't have the reinforcements in place to sort of soak up those losses, and just ended up trading back and forth for the rest of the game. The one thing that I really shocked me was how many super heavy tanks the red side brought in. More than you could ever need. I think one of them must have been playing an armored deck, maybe even more than one, because
Yeah,
they just had so many UMs and BUs and Us, and yeah,
it just seemed a bit overkill. But then again, it wasn't overkill. They just didn't use it correctly. Like there was so many. It really frustrated me throughout this game because there's nothing. I'm not going to say that the static gameplay is boring. It's the way that they played that was boring.
yeah.
The fact that you're bringing in super heavies in static gameplay is what's boring. If you bring in that infantry that sort of breaks that stalemate, or at least tries to break the stalemate, then that's what makes things more interesting, and that's exactly what the blue side did at one point in the game. They smoked and they threw in a load of Jaegers into the bottom side of Echo, right? That broke the stalemate. But up until that point, the red side was just reinforcing with more and more and more heavy tanks. And all that does is just give targets to the blue side to hit with their air force.
Yeah.
And the lovely thing that was happening with the blue side air force, especially with that tornado ECR, that was they'll bring in it just sort of staggered just behind the airstrike. So after all the radar was like turned on, the ECR was just picking up so many kills. There was like so many book M1s and Tunguska M's going down. It was just ridiculous and painful to watch. And that left the gate open for the MLU and the Super Etendards as well.
Yeah. So
yeah, hard to watch, but there was still interesting aspects to the game.
there was. I think the one thing for me that was frustrating was when. So personally, I don't agree with bringing all those super heavy tanks in. I think there's better things, like we've mentioned, that could do a better job of breaking the stalemate. But the one thing, like if you're going to bring all those super heavy tanks in, like and spend all those points and all that effort bringing them into one place, at least attack with them at the same time. Don't just send like 2 of them off to get picked off by the ATGM planes, then send another 2, a few minutes later. I don't understand why you do that. That just seems to be throwing away those super heavies you've brought in for no reason really, if they're just going to die like that.
At the end of the day, for the red side especially, it just comes down to communication.
Yeah.
And they had to coordinate that properly. in order to make it work. And basically what was happening was one player was attacking after the other, and that's what caused it to fail ultimately. The Buratino strikes were like at the wrong time. They would fire the Buratino and then one player would follow up on it and then the others wouldn't. And yeah, it's just a mix and match of errors really, that from both sides a lot of the time, that caused the outcome that we have. Just the blue side took the initiative, I guess, and that's what got them the win, which is well deserved, I guess, in the end, because they did take that initiative. But
yeah, definitely.
Any last words?
Yeah, I think despite the fact that this has been maybe not the most exciting game, I think it's one that a lot of people can learn from. Because a lot of the time when you're playing games, you come across these situations where you're in stalemates. And I think you always need to remember that you can't just rely on like one sort of thing, like one set of super heavy tanks to break a stalemate like that. You need like a big combination. Like when Blue used that smoke and the napalm and the infantry with the fire support from the tanks, that's what you need to break these sorts of stalemates. And Blue did it well, Red not so well. I mean, we did see them successfully push later on after a lot of trades, but I still think you need that sort of combined arms, and that's something that everyone, I think, should try and sort of emulate in their games in these situations.
Yep, very, very good point to finish off there. So that's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Goodbye.